Hi there, welcome to Motion Product. My name is Michael. We're going to talk about Stripe payments, direct and destination charges, and breaking it down from what it is to how it flows through the different stages. I'm going to be using Bubble as a tool to walk you through this. Whether you're a no-code fan or someone who just wants to learn more about how Stripe works, this is the video for you. So let's get into it. So from checkout to the platform, that turns the credit card details and the amount to be taken, and that gets captured as a payment. Now this payment is on Stripe. Stripe then breaks this up so that you as the platform can take an application fee, and part of the rest of the money goes off to the connected account. Once it's in the connected account through the payouts, that ends up in the customer to the seller's bank account. So let's talk a little bit more about destination charges. This is the example Stripe has for destination charges. It's using Lyft. The driver will get a payout and the platform will take part of the fees. So here the platform takes a cut and then the driver gets majority of the pay. What that looks like in practice in the flow of payments is the credit card collection will take $10 in the charge. That $10 gets transferred over to the connected account as a $10 payment. And on the connected account, you'll see that an application fee of $1.23 is taken, where out of that $1.23, 59 cents will be Stripe fees, and when you subtract all the fees from the amount that you initially taken, you can see the net as in the amount that the connected account will take home, which is $8.77. In terms of the platform, they'll take home 64 cents. When I was first going through this, I was curious, like, where did 59 come from? So what Stripe is using is a 2.9% per credit card transaction plus 30 cents. So 2% of $10 is 29 cents plus 30, it gives you 59 cents. Looking into how the API for this works, Stripe provides an API for a checkout session, and the way you do destination charges is you have this payment intent data where you specify the connected account that you want to pay into and the amount of the fees that you want to take out. This fee to be taken out is something that you determine as a platform. Stripe doesn't do any calculations on this, but note that from this fee that they will take a Stripe fee, so whatever you take has to cover the Stripe transaction fees. So this 59 cents. And in this example here, there's something called a price ID. This is useful when you have something that's already there in Stripe as a fixed product, but in our scenario, we don't have that. We have like a variable price, and the way I got around doing that is setting the line items where you have price data, a name for it, the currency, and the quantity. These are the minimum fields that you need to set. Product that you can sell on the dynamically. So $10 is, so everything you multiply by 100. So that's where you get 123 here for the fee amount, where it's $1.23 in the example. So now we're going to take a look at direct charges. This is an example that Stripe provides around direct charges where you get payment from the customer that gets sent directly to the merchant, and the platform takes an application fee. But who pays the Stripe fees is now on the merchant side or the connected account side, not the platform. Here we can see that the money goes straight through to the connected account. They are in charge of paying the Stripe fees, so therefore they take a little bit less compared to the destination one, but they still take that 123 $1.23 application fee, but this time you don't have the extra Stripe fees to take away from that. And very similar like before, where we have line items and things like that, but the key thing, the account that you're going to send it to is specified in the header. And what that looks like in Bubble is like this. You have the same line items and things like that, payment intent data, and this time you don't have the destination here, but you specify where you're going to send it through the account. So this -h matches headers, and that's how Stripe will know to send this through as a direct account versus a destination account. What we're going to use today to walk through the experience of sending payments through an application is this mock application I have here, where we're going to create an Express account and then use checkout to collect some fees and set the amount to charge and all that stuff. So we're going to see how the workflow looks like to collect charges and use Stripe to see how things get connected through there. And the key thing that we need to do is to look at the API connector, which is a plugin in Bubble. So you just click on add plugins and then search up API connector. So for this example, we're going to be using the API connector and toolbox, and I'll get into that a little bit later of why. To kick things off, you need to create a new API, call it Stripe Connect, and the key value here for this, I'm just using the test account. So where you get that information from is when you land on your dashboard, you click on test mode, and then you're going to look for the SK key, which is the secret key. So here, if you click here to reveal the test key, and if you click on it, you'll be able to copy it and paste it in here. The extra bit that you have to add is this bearer word into the key, and that's it. Set that up, and you can follow the examples just as is. So the first thing we're going to do is create an Express account. So here we're using the accounts and we're setting it up. For me, I am using the API connector instead of other plugins because I live in Australia and I want to accept credit cards. So this is the way to set it up using the API. So going through that, set that to true, and when you run it, you'll get a response that looks something like this when you initialize your call, and you'll get all the stuff back. But the key thing that will get comes back from here is this account ID here, right? So I've hooked up this button. I've hooked up the Express account to go through this workflow. I'm just gonna enter a sample email. So we're gonna call this demo, and that's good. Once I call that account, I'll have the Stripe ID. So then I'll create a new seller in the database with this account ID, and then from there I will create a onboarding link so that they can go through the process of setting up their account. And onboarding call is right here, where the account name, this is just a placeholder. If you're doing it for yourself, you'll enter a real account number. If you're inside Stripe, the way you get an account number is if you click on here and the account number is up here, just click it and you can stick that into this part here, and it will create the onboarding link for you. And this will create a URL that will allow you to go through the onboarding link. So let's go through that right now. So for this example, now we're going to go step by step in Bubble. So this debugger window. So I have nothing here. I'll create the Express account. So it's clicked. Run the next thing. I'm going to pass in the demo@gmail account, and we can see that it made the call and the ID is created here. I've added to the data and database, and now I get now is the step to create the onboarding link, and the onboarding link is now created, and you can see this popping up. So this is the application. We can see onboarding link, dashboard, onboarding link. There's some conditional statements on here to make it only show up if we have the current account ID set to no, and we have the current dashboard and onboarding link have conditional statements on them. Basically, if this if the account ID is there and the account is enabled, so charged enables the key term in Stripe, we would use an API to look that up. And if that's set to yes, then we'll show the if that's set to no, we'll set the onboarding link to be visible. And if it's set to yes, that means the users went through the whole onboarding flow. We can set the dashboard to be visible at that time. So that's how this thing works here. Down here is just two buttons that will kick off two different checkout flows. One is for a destination charge, and the other one is a direct charge. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's do this right now. So preview, let's go. So right now, there's no Express account ID. Where I'm storing Express accounts is in here. I created a data type that has the account ID, whether it's charged enable, and an email and name of the user. And then for each transaction that happens, for example, a checkout, then I will try to capture the seller account ID, aka the destination. The payment ID, this is very useful for you to capture. You'll get this right away once you create the checkout session. And with the payment ID for successful transactions, then you can use that payment ID to retrieve the charge ID if you wanted to issue refunds or anything like that before the payout happens. So that's the database in the background. A whole bunch of workflows to get things going. So when the page is loaded, this is not the most efficient way to do it, but I retrieve the account information, then I set the charges enabled to be true or false, depending whether the user went through the flow or not. So I want to show you something and why we use this run JavaScript function instead of something else. So let me just delete this right now. So we make this open external page and we use the URL that's generated, and this is the experience that you get. So click on Express account. It creates everything in the background, your account ID, and you can see it being populated there. But what happens is that it just continues the whole flow across like this. This is not what if you don't want this flow and you actually still want to see that previous screen and you want this to open up in a new tab, the way you do that, if you want it to open up in a separate tab, what I did was I downloaded this toolbox plugin. So same way, add plugins, find it, add it, it's called toolbox. So what we do now is, instead of using the default open an external website from Bubble, what we're going to do instead is call some JavaScript code. And what we're going to do here is called window, as in the browser window, and open. And put everything in quotes. And inside here, we're going to insert dynamic data, and we're going to take that URL that we that comes as a result from step 3. So that's it. That is the amount of coding that you have to do to get that running. We don't need this. And now when we look at this page now and how the flow goes together, create Express account, it's calling some Stripe APIs. At this moment, we have our account ID and we have set up this thing here. The email is pre-populated in my case because I have some past Stripe accounts. Cool. So I'm in test mode. I'm going through the whole flow here. The type of company, let's say it's a private company. This might be a bit boring, so let's call this boring company. We're just gonna pre-fill default information. Yep. Okay. Software, sure, why not? Cool. So imagine you had to build all these fields yourself. That's the benefit of using something like Stripe Express. If regulation changes or fields or information, things that you need, you don't have to worry about it. Job title, CEO, why not? Yeah. Sure, let's see if I can get by with minimal information. I own 100% of the business. Cool. Now, test mode, this is where I'm talking about linking up your bank account to get paid out to for payouts. So I'm just going to use the test account here. Cool. So there's some missing information here. Sure, business phone number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Sounds good. And then there's some extra information required here. So date of birth is actually really required. So 02 20, why not? And then address 123 Albert Avenue, Sydney. Yeah, state needs to be pre-filled. Cool, so everything is done there. It's verifying. And it looks like it needs more information. So now it needs some ID verification. I'm in test mode, but I could do other things to verify my account if this was a real thing. Cool, so it looks like everything is done and ready. I can click done. Now when I go into my Stripe account, I can see that the boring company is set up correctly. It has all the details in here. It has the bank account, all the details that I had in here. And the payout schedule here is daily on a 2-day rolling basis. This is the automatic nature of the payouts. And at the moment, there's no payments incoming for this. So let's see how this might work. All right. So the amount to charge, platform fees, all this stuff, the checkout destination, if we want to check out how that's configured and linked up, is that I'm taking in the account ID from there, and then these are the charges and fees. And remember, I'm multiplying everything by 100 because that will take the decimal amount and then convert them into cents. So $1 is 100 cents. Cool. So that looks good to me. So the first one we're going to say is a card, and then for the direct one, we're going to take a look and use it as the bank account. New transaction. So what we're going to do here is run JavaScript window.open insert that dynamic data, the URL down there. That's good. Same thing with direct. So what we're trying to do is save the seller account and all that stuff in the direct. Set data, create a new thing, new transaction, set a field, amount is equal to amount total, and another field, the payment ID. This is generated from step payment intent. Set another field, and then we don't have that information yet, but we do have this. Cool. And then we want to open up the URL. Awesome. Just gonna go in here and clean up anything I have in here. Delete. Okay, don't need to see that again. We're gonna look at how this works. New destination, Stripe checkout, and Stripe checkout's awesome because if you have Google Pay enabled, it will just show up if you love it. So email. So customer at gmail.com. Okay, name, and then we can pay. So it's processing. Once it's done, it will redirect to the URL that you specified. And here I just have a simple success page that says this was created successfully. If I go back to demo, it just takes me back to this page. So as we can see with that boring company example, in the scenario of a destination, the platform's in charge of paying for the Stripe fees, so you don't see anything about Stripe fees at this level here. You just see the 123 being taken out. If you want to see where the fees are for destination charges, you click on payments and you click on collected fees. So that was just the latest one that we just did here. We did this, and the part where we don't see is the Stripe fees. And so of that amount, the Stripe processing fee is here. Our net would be $1.23 minus 59 cents. Now let's see the same kind of flow, but for a direct. Same amount for platform fees and everything. But this time we're going to do direct. And in this example, I'm using a different checkout flow that's using a bank account. So this is what it looks like. So bank@gmail.com. And then Stripe has their own test information for banks. Depending on your country, you'll have your own different ones. Mike, bank. and that redirects over here, and we can go back to the demo. And if we go back into our Stripe Connect and we look at Boring Company, we can see that there's actually 2 payments now. This one just came through. And if we click on this one, this is a direct payment. Now it's on the merchant, which is Boring Company, to be in charge of paying out Stripe fees. So you can see in here that the processing fees, the application fees that we took from them is still $1.23. So we still take that, but they're in charge of paying the Stripe processing fees and any tax associated. So that's the difference between destination and direct payment. It's who pays for the Stripe processing fees and how it shows up on the checkout summary. As you can see, this looks a little bit different from the previous one. We've shown the checkout and direct. When I'm looking through Stripe like this is like the admin view. This is what you would see as the platform. This is what you would log into. But since we're using Stripe Express, what we want to do is provide the sellers on the platform to see their own payouts and amount of money that they gain. One approach to do that is to use Stripe APIs to pull all the information, query all transactions, and then present it neatly for the user. Or you can just leverage the dashboard links. So if you click on that, and if I set it up properly, which I probably didn't, So the issue here is that I forgot quotation marks. They do matter in that URL. Cool. So let's revisit this. So dashboard link is available. When I click on it, I'm taken to this. This is just a fake one. So this is what sellers on the platform would see. They would see their own thing. And we have like 2 payments that were taken today. And yeah, this is the earnings that they get to take home post fees. And you can see the difference between a destination charge versus a direct charge. And yeah, and for anything that's already been paid out, that would just show up over here. All right, that's it for this video. If you have further questions about more Stripe payment flows, please leave a comment below. If you thought this video was helpful, click like and consider clicking subscribe to get more content around building better products using no code and low code solutions.